video is going to comprise mostly of just me going over the game and talking about all the animatronics and stuff. So in a sense, it could be considered like a guide because I do teach you how to get some of the endings and teach you how to like what the animatronics do, but most of it is really just a tier list. And since it is a tier list, I have to mention that yes, I haven't gotten all the achievements. I really wanted to, but I was running out of time. So I will try and get all the achievements, and if I'm feeling really ballsy, I can make a video on trying to beat the max mode, but most likely it'll just be a video on getting all the achievements. So yeah, let's just get right into the video. So let's just start with the first night. Like most FNAF games, the first night is just boring, but in this game there is a little nice thing they add, and they have a video game section on the cameras, which helps make the first night feel just a lot less boring and more interesting because you can get coins from the minigame and use them to buy upgrades at the shop, which on the first night you don't really need the shop. It's still useful. I also just recommend buying a bunch of cupcakes because at the end of the night your tokens will be exchanged for cash, which is a pretty cool feature. You'll figure out what the cash is later on. But let's start with the animatronics on the first night. So on the first night, the only animatronics that are active are Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, Foxy, and Marionette, which they're not that difficult, except for Freddy and Foxy. Otherwise, I mean, they're not that bad. It's the same thing as FNAF 1 for most of them, where Bonnie goes on the left or while Chica goes on the right. It's a little bit more like Ultimate Custom Night, where once they reach the door, all you need to do is close it for a second, and then they have a donk and disappear, which is quite nice. I like it when there's a thonk letting you know there's gone and not just sitting there for a while wondering if they're gone or not. Freddy is a little bit different where he goes to random doors, and once he reaches it, instead of like making a noise like Bonnie and Chica when they reach a door, Freddy makes a laugh, and you have to tell which side he's from the laugh, and you just close that door. It's really not that bad, but later on when there's a lot of animatronics, he can be pretty bad. And Foxy, it's the same thing as FNAF 1, but it's just a thonk. He doesn't sit at your door and like scratch at it for a while. Otherwise, I mean, all of them are not that bad. Later on they can be a problem, but it's really not that bad. And the last one is Marionette, which it's virtually the same exact thing as FNAF 2, but all you need to do is press the music box once, and it's all the way wound up. So significantly better than FNAF 2 already. I'm gonna need a way to rank all these animatronics, so I'm gonna use a tier list. Yeah, tier list. I love tier list. Pyrocynical would be so proud. So let's quickly rank the animatronics I just talked about. Freddy will go in awful, and also disclaimer: when I mean by awful and really bad, I mean like they're really bad to deal with and really hard. So I'm not calling them bad animatronics, I'm just saying that they're hard to deal with. Both Chica and Bonnie go into annoying but not hard, and Foxy goes also into awful, and Marionette. Fun fact, I forgot to rank Marionette at the start of this video, so the rest of the video, Marionette is not going to be on this list, but she's just going to be in hard. Alright, now that we made it past the first night, let's talk about the very bulk of the game. This is probably one of the coolest parts about this game. So basically, after every night, we have a salvage run where we go into one of the old FNAF locations and we salvage animatronics from there, which will appear in future nights. So obviously, we're going to rank all of them and go through each night individually. So that's where the bulk of this video is going to come from. It's such a cool concept, and I wish, well, I mean, most games can't do the same thing because it would just be copying, but it's it's really fun to do. It makes the game have a lot of replayability. It's just kind of like Ultimate Custom Night, but roguelike, you know? So in Salvage 1, most of the animatronics that you get this night are like the withered animatronics and Golden Freddy and Endoskeleton. Most of them are not that difficult, mostly with the exception of Endo and Withered Freddy, because they're both really difficult, but mostly Withered Freddy. He might be the hardest character in this entire game. Maybe. I don't know, I might go over it later, but he straight up is like extremely difficult. What Withered Freddy does is he starts on your window and he starts progressing to each door from the window. Once he reaches the door and disappears, you have to close the door. which doesn't sound too hard, but when you have to deal with like a bunch of other animatronics with that, it's kind of hard to pay attention to him. And his indicator that he's coming is not very distinct. So yeah, just put him in really bad. And Endo, he appears randomly throughout the night, and his indicator is not too bad, but yeah. And when he appears on your window, will stare at you. He doesn't really do anything except for when you use your flashlight, like at all. It doesn't matter like where you're at. He just kills you instantly if you use your flashlight. So it's pretty bad, especially when compared to the next character that I'm going to talk about, which is Withered Bonnie. Withered Bonnie is really not that difficult. All you need to do is just put on your mask when he appears in your office. He's not too common, and when he does appear, he's not really that hard or oppressing. The only time he can be a problem is if when like other people are in the office or people are on cameras that you need to deal with. But for like the early nights, it's really not that much of an issue. I'll put it in free. And even in like the bad situations, you can normally come back from it. So yeah, free is probably just the best option. And then this is when vent characters start becoming a thing. And the first vent character, except for if you're on lunatic mode, is Withered Chica. Withered Chica, which is low-key kind of surprising considering she's a fat bit. It's not that difficult. Most vent characters, all you need to do is just like when they appear in your office, they have this really loud sound cue, which it's kind of hard to miss.
Does somebody need a hug?
So just when you hear it, stop doing whatever you're doing and just put on the mask. Or most of the time you can just keep doing whatever you're doing and then put on your mask. They take a long time to attack. And then Withered Foxy is just a harder version of Withered Bonnie in my opinion. He just appears at your window and then you need to focus your flashlight in his eyes for a while. I'm pretty sure he attacks for a shorter time than Bonnie, but he requires a lot more attention than what Bonnie needs. So I mean, I feel like it's a lot more difficult, but it really doesn't. It's not gonna kill you, except for if you're being like not playing well and it's just a nail in the coffin. But it's really not that bad. So annoying but hard would be a great place for him. Golden Freddy, probably the easiest character in the entire game. He just appears in your office, and all you need to do is put on your mask, and he disappears immediately. All you need to do is just tap W once, and he's gone. It's very easy. You probably noticed by now that you gain money from salvaging or coins that you earn at the end of the night. You can use these coins to buy upgrades at the upgrade cadet. At the upgrade cadet, you could either buy a story or just buy upgrades for your room. The stories are, I mean, they're okay. You mostly want it for the achievement, but what you're really after is the upgrades that he gives. I'm not gonna really get into the upgrades right now. That's for a little bit later, but just for now, they're really important and crucial for the gameplay, especially for later nights. But that's enough of that. Let's talk about Night 2. Night 2 is mostly just gonna be the same as Night 1, but with the added characters that you just salvaged, and obviously the AIs are just going to be raised a little bit for the last night's characters. And that's just going to be mostly the loop of the game. Yeah, it can get a little bit repetitive, but I mean, it's really fun, especially with like the whole roguelite aspect of it where you just pick new characters and everyone, and it's pretty cool. The night is still going to be easy, so I recommend just getting as much coins as possible and buying the cupcakes from the shop so you can make as much coins for the next night so you can buy it, better upgrades and stuff, or just save up for, other stuff. And as the night ends, there are going to be new animatronics waiting for you at the next salvage. This salvage is going to be FNAF 2 themed, and it's going to have, well, FNAF 2 characters. But first we need to talk about the balloon in the room. Instead, he's not gonna spawn in a salvage. He actually spawns in the second night. I just haven't mentioned it yet. He is another vent character, like Withered Chica, and he acts the same as Withered Chica. It's just you don't salvage him. He just kind of spawns in. Except if you're playing on lunatic mode, where he just spawns in immediately. So I mean, he's a free tier. And JJ, the character you salvage, it's a vent character, so I mean, it's free tier. All the vent characters are the exact same. Some of them just like don't respond to the heater or the fan or the audio lure. Like
I will fuck the shit out of that robot, man. I'm not even.
Bonnie is another vent character, so he goes into free, but instead he just is very receptive to audio lure, but he's also really fast, so he's a little bit more. Next is Chica. Chica is generally really difficult for me. Some people say that it's not that bad, but what you have to do is that when you flip down your camera, a cupcake will spawn in, and all you need to do is just click on it. But in my experience, I struggle really hard with remembering to click the cupcake or even just finding where the cupcake is because there's just so much stuff happening, especially when you have to deal with like Withered Foxy or other characters, like characters I'm going to talk about later. It's very difficult to deal with her, in my opinion. So she's going in the really bad tier. I don't know. This is probably a little bit more controversial, but like I generally have a really hard time dealing with her. And I guess we're having a streak right now because Mangle is also really bad. And by herself, she or well, with most characters, but by herself, she's really not that bad. You just need to avoid the camera. But if you also have other camera characters, she becomes significantly harder, especially at a higher AI, where if you click on the camera she's on, she will instantly kill you. Oh, I forgot to explain the character. Well, she just goes into a random camera every flip, and you just have to not click on the one she's on. Otherwise, she'll kill you if you stare at her too long. And like I said, at higher AI, she'll just kill you instantly. It's really difficult. These next two are, I mean, they're not that bad. Toy Freddy, all you have to do is just beat a mini game that you're good at. If you beat him at his high score, he will just go away instantly. Otherwise, if you beat the knight, he'll just kill you instead of winning. It's really not that bad, if especially if you're like really good at Minesweeper or Cupcake Clicker. I don't recommend doing any other game because, well, it'll take too long. So yeah. And then Shadow Bonnie is also gonna be in hard because what he does is he'll slowly phase into your office, and to get him away, you have to shine your flashlight on him. It's kind of like it's really not that difficult, but I mean, yeah. Oh, he also phases in your office faster depending on the temperature, so you have to just keep it down. It's really not that difficult, but like I said, in my experience, he gets really rough with like other camera animatronics where you have to also deal with him phasing in your office that you can't see, by the way. You can't see him at all. Yeah, it's pretty difficult. All right, we have finished with the Night 2 salvage. Time to move on to Night 3. These animatronics are not really necessarily difficult, but more just annoying. They're not necessarily a problem, but they can cause a death or just annoy you to death. So, I mean, yeah, the nights start to get harder around here because of just how annoying these guys can be. And sometimes, like I said, they just straight up lead to your death most of the time. Alright, let's start the list with the shitty one. The Phantoms, they're okay. They don't really do much, but I mean, they can be pretty annoying. All you need to do is just okay. Well, what they do is they spawn on your cameras, and if you stare at them for too long, they jump scare you and raise your temperature. It doesn't really do much, but it can easily lead to death with some characters, especially in the later nights. So I mean, they're not too bad, but they're not nothing either. But I'll just put them in easy. And next is Shadow Freddy. He probably has one of my favorite designs in the game. Not like attack design, but like character design. He looks really cool. Design wise, like actual ability, he's terrible. I hate him. He goes in hard because what he does is randomly throughout the night he'll just appear and then plunge the office into darkness, and the only way you can see is through the flashlight, which it's pretty difficult to deal with, and it makes it hard to see characters that you need to see, and you have to rely solely on audio cues for a good like while. Actually, like he plunges the office into darkness for like way too long, in my opinion. It takes a long time for it to go away. I think it's like 2 hours or something. So yeah, it's pretty bad. All right, next is Helpy, which I mean is a pretty free character. All he does is just place ads on your screen. All you have to do is click the X for them to go away, so it's really not that bad. I'll put him in free. He's just really annoying. Like it's like when you're like taking a shit, but it's actually diarrhea, and the diarrhea contains your stomach acid. So when the poop comes out, the stomach acid touches your butthole, and it makes your butthole like burn for like a while. I really hate that. It kind of reminds me of that every single time I get an ad. Yeah. Next is Hippo. Hippo is just another vent character. It's really not that bad. But I'll place him in annoying but not hard because he's the quietest out of all the other vent characters. He doesn't have like a voice line for when he pops up into your event, so it's a bit harder to spot him. But like when he does go into office, he doesn't like kill you. He just sits there and starts telling a story, which is more entertaining than anything. So actually, no, never mind. He's going back into free. And Music Man. It's kind of like Helpy, but in my opinion, a little bit easier. And I'm really making this game look a lot easier than it actually is because most of these characters are free. But trust me, it gets way worse later on. Music Man, he'll just play a noise like randomly. It could be like, oh yeah, Foxy's running sound or Freddy's laugh when he's not at your door. It can trick you, but it doesn't really do much if you do fall for it. He's not really that punishing. And finally, Malhair, which is a glitch trap for the people that for some reason don't know. Malhair, he's probably the hardest part about this salvage if you do pick him. Unless if you skip the last 2 hours, he's not necessarily a problem, but if you don't, he can be a problem. So like later in the night, he'll spawn in, and anytime you flip up your camera, he'll initiate a countdown. Once the countdown runs out, he'll laugh and disable your camera for the rest of the night, which I mean is basically just instant death. So I'll put him in hard. He doesn't do much if you use the hour skip, but I mean it's really not that bad. Alright, now that we've gone over all the animatronics in Salvage 3, Night 4 is when it starts to get hard. It's normally when like the skill ceiling or the skill ceiling starts raising a little bit higher because there's just now so many animatronics you have to deal with. Especially in the Night 4 salvage where we get probably some of the harder animatronics in the game. Alright, let's talk about the Night 4 salvage. So let's start with probably one of the hardest ones on this list. Plush Trap, extremely difficult. First, what he does is he spawns after you flip down your camera, he spawns in your window for a split second. Whichever side he's on your window, you have to flash the door of and he will disappear. Doesn't sound that hard, but the window to flash him is really small and you have to do it like really quick. And it's also just kind of hard to notice most of the time, especially when there's other people at your window, which makes it really easy to forget he just exists because also he barely has like any notification letting you know that he's at your window. So you just have to have like this subconscious like take in your mind, just like you have to remind yourself plush trap, plush trap, plush trap, plush trap. It's kind of similar to Chica, just I feel like much worse. And then next is Nightmare Fredbear. He's pretty damn difficult, but with the combination of Shadow Bonnie, he's not that difficult. What he does is he puts a cap on how hot the room can be, or I guess lowers the cap because if the room starts getting too hot for him, he'll start lowering his jaws around your face and kill you once it closes all the way. It's not too bad, but you can't see it with the camera on, so sometimes I just die without even realizing. So I'll put him in awful because I just died to him way too often. Nightmare Balloon Boy, he is the bane of my existence. He's not that difficult, but I click the camera way too much. It's like kind of instinctual, and what he does is once you flick up the camera, he has a chance to appear on any like camera you click on, and all you have to do is just click on him a bunch until he disappears, which doesn't sound too hard, but I just keep on forgetting. Sometimes I just like instinctively click the camera twice for some reason, and then he just spawns in and I just die to him. It's mostly a skill issue on my part, but I'm still gonna put him in like hard. And next is Nightmare Marionette. It's definitely way easier to deal with them on Frickbears than UCN because they can't just like kill you the first 3 seconds as soon as you start, but it's still pretty difficult. He just spawns in one side of your office and you can't look at him like at all. Otherwise he'll just kill you, which again doesn't sound that bad, but when I have to try and get rid of Shadow Bonnie, I have to like barely move my mouse on Shadow Bonnie because Nightmare Marionette, its hitbox is like a lot bigger than you think, so yeah, I don't know. I'll just put him in annoying, not hard. Next is Twisted Wolf.
That amazing silky sheen.
Who the fuck is that?
Which is a very unique character. And the fact that anytime you lower your camera, they just appear in front of you and you have to click the illusion disc. It's not that hard most of the time, but in a combination with Nightmare BB and Helpy, it could be pretty difficult because Helpy can block the disc and you can accidentally click off of the camera when you are staring at Nightmare BB, and it'll just lead to a situation where you either die to BB trying to get rid of Twisted Wolf or die to Twisted Wolf trying to get rid of Nightmare BB. So I'll put him in awful because he's pretty hard, but not that bad. I mean, he is that bad. And then finally is Dreadbear. Dreadbear is probably the easiest out of all the people. I'll put him in annoying, but not hard because he just spawns at your window and you just have to grab a candy on whichever candy he wants. So yeah, like when the night starts, 2 candy bowls will appear next to you and you just have to click the one he wants and bring it to his mouth. His hitbox can be a little bit weird, but it's really not that bad. Alright, we finally made it through all of the salvage animatronics, and as you could probably tell, there are a lot of them. But as you probably noticed, there's still a lot more I need to talk
Oh,
about. Alright,
brother.
let's start with the characters that you get from backdoor trading. The backdoor trading characters are exclusive characters that you can only get from the specific upgrade backdoor trading from Upgrade Cadet. These animatronics range from difficulty, but I mean, most of them are pretty damn difficult. But they are a good alternative for like some characters. Alright, let's start with the two minigame animatronics. And these are both like on the same level, fuck you over in different situations. So let's start with Anima Dude. You probably know Anima Dude from, well, FNAF World. What he does is randomly in the night his minigame will show up and you just have to complete it. Well, you have to multitask doing his minigame while also handling the other animatronics that you picked. So it's pretty difficult, but you also get 10 lives to do the minigame. I personally struggle with it because later I'm gonna really rant about it, but I struggle a lot with 2D platformers, like really bad. I'll put him in awful. Actually, I'll put him in really bad because I struggle with him every single time. And then the next one is Coffee, which is also a FNAF World exclusive character. Well, not really exclusive, but you know what I mean. It's the same thing as Anima Dude, but it's a ping pong game, and you just have to play ping pong while dealing with other animatronics. But you don't, unlike Anima Dude, you don't have multiple lives. As soon as you lose once, it just removes all your power. So it's definitely a situation where if you lose, you basically die, but I feel like I struggle with it more than Anima Dude. Actually, no, never mind. I'm gonna put Anima Dude in awful. Alright, next is Chipper. It's just more annoying than anything. It's kind of like a Toy Freddy, where they'll just kill you at the end of the night. All you need to do is just buy Chipper's wood. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the wood, but you just need to buy the wood. Candy. I have a rough relationship with Candy because it's really not that bad, but for some reason I just have this curse where I just press W the moment he spawns in, like every single freaking time. It's really annoying, but he's really not that bad. He also has this thing where he spawns in normally at the same time around Withered Foxy, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, there's that. If you want to do anything with it, I'll put him in hard. Next is Sparky. He's surprisingly hard to deal with for not having arms. Or well, he has an arm, but he not having an arm and a leg. He just spawns in your cameras, and you have to find where he is and zap him. You don't know exactly what camera he's in. You can't see him. You only know where he is by like clicking on the camera that has the option to zap him. I'll put him in awful. Actually, no, I'll put him in really bad because a lot of situations he spawns in, he's really bad. Pop goes. I mean, he's also awful, but people say he's a lot worse than he actually is. He's actually really not that bad. People say he's really bad, but he's really not that bad. He just spawns in on the main room camera, and eventually he'll have a thought bubble appear telling you which camera he's going to go to. Eventually there will be a sound cue letting you know that he's moved to that room, and all you need to do is shock him before he makes the little shadow, which, I don't know, I haven't really played Pop Goes. I've only watched Markiplier play like the first night of it. I might play it after this. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I might make a video on it. And finally, him. Rodney, by definition, is a free tier, but I'm gonna I'm just gonna make him his own tier because Rodney is a very fun character to have. And I think he should be a character that you start with. Okay, wait, why am I not? Whatever. Actually, no, I'll put respect to his name. Full name. Rodney, he just is in the corner of your camera, and all he does is just talk shit or just say bullshit. It's mostly entertaining, doesn't hurt at all. Also, you have to pay for him to be in your office. You just have to give him $1. It's really not that bad. He also makes footage of this game a lot more bearable because, you know, he's very entertaining. Alright, now that we've gone through most of the optional characters, let's start going over the endings of the game, which are pretty cool. Let's start with the ending that normally everybody gets, and it's the slacker ending. The slacker ending isn't really much. It's just characters you play as just in their room watching TV or something. It doesn't really have much. You just beat the Five Nights. That's about it. I mean, there's not really much to say. It's called the slacker ending for a reason. Next, let's go to an actual ending. the money ending. This ending on most modes isn't that hard, but on lunatic mode, it's pretty damn difficult. So basically, how to get it is when you go to the upgrade cadet, he has an upgrade called the Talbert's Files. All you need to do next is just save up throughout the nights to be able to buy the Talbert's Files. Then, at the end of night 5, the boss will call you, who, now that I think about it, kind of sounds like another person I know. Anyways, he'll call you letting you know that there's this another secret area and that you have to go and, salvage animatronics from there, which initiates salvage 6. Which means I'm gonna bring back the tier list. Yep, there's more animatronics coming. These animatronics are based off of FNAF 6, sister location. I mean, since it's Night 6, you can obviously guess that these animatronics are fucking rough, dude. All of them are really bad. Each of them, give a different type of, trouble. Let's start with probably the easiest one on this list. Even though I say it's the easiest one, they're all probably either going to go in really hard or awful. And it's Ballora. Ballora is, in my opinion, just a hard character. What she does is at a random point in the night, she'll start playing music, and then 4 Minoritas will spawn throughout your facility. All you have to do is just find them on the map and click on all of them. It's not too bad, but it requires a lot of focus and a lot of time to find all the Minoritas while trying to focus on all the other animatronics that you have to deal with. This is really bad, especially on lunatic mode. Next is a character that's similar to Ballora, but very different, and in my opinion harder, and that's Baby. What Baby does is, instead of periodically spawning throughout the night, she just spawns in at the very start of the night and puts in a bunch of little babies throughout the map, and you just have to find all of them and collect all of them. This is something that just you start with, so you can just do it immediately and it shouldn't be too bad, but if you don't do it immediately, it could get really bad and you could struggle with collecting all the little babies before the night ends. In my opinion, I'll put it in awful because I feel like I struggle more with finding the babies than the Minoritas. The Minoritas seem a little bit more obvious to me. Some of the babies kind of hide better. But yeah. The next character is probably the hardest character in the entire game. Funtime Foxy is so unbelievably difficult to deal with, and that's because she spawns in the middle area similar to Pop Goes. She has a timer, which once the timer runs out, you just close the right door and she just disappears and the timer goes a little bit farther up. That doesn't sound too difficult, but it's really hard to remember the time while also dealing with everybody else and pay attention to the time, because now the time is really important and you have to actively look at it and make sure you're not coming too close to the deadline, and it adds a lot of stress to your already really stressful game. So yeah, I'll put her in really bad. It's generally the worst character. And next is also really bad character, and that's Funtime Freddy. Funtime Freddy is really bad because he's also a camera character, similar to Funtime Foxy, but he also does the stupid thing. Okay, well, I'm getting a little bit too ahead of myself. What he does is that he goes onto one of the cameras on the either side of your doors, and if you hear him, you have to look at that camera and see if he has a bonbon in his hand or not. If he doesn't have a bonbon, the next time he speaks, the bonbon will attack the opposite door to him, and if he does, he'll attack the door that he's on currently. Which, if you didn't get lost while I was explaining that to you, then I'm surprised, because it takes a little bit to get used to. It's pretty difficult. In my opinion, I'm also putting him in really bad. And next is probably the most popular character in the entire game. If you've seen footage of this game or just memes of Frickbears, it's probably about Lolbit. I mean, I kind of get it. Memorable character. They're cute. I mean, yeah. What they do is they go to the shop and they just make the prices ridiculously expensive. That's about it. It's really, well, I mean, I was going to say it's not that bad. It's fucking terrible. It's really ridiculous. There's a reason why everybody immediately death quins them as soon as they play at max mode or something. So yeah, I mean, it's really bad. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it, to be honest. It's weird. And the last character of Night 6 is Lolhax, which, I mean, what he does is at the very start of the night, he spawns in, plays pretty nice music, honestly. Once you get to this night, it's pretty good music. But he'll give you an option of 2 animatronics and 1 random. These are normally these are just animatronics you haven't picked yet, and all you need to do is just pick one, and yeah. It's not too hard, but also if you haven't picked Withered Freddy, he could give you like, oh yeah, Withered Freddy and Chica, and the randomizer could give you like Plush Trap. Like he could easily like make a night extremely difficult, or he could give you Rodney, and it just does nothing. So I don't really know how to place him, so I'm also gonna place him in Rodney because why not? To be honest, he's a pretty fun character. I just wish he isn't just like shoved at the very end of the game. I wish I can like play with him more often because like he's honestly quite fun. He adds more of a randomness to the game, which I quite like. Alright, now that we finished with the money ending, let's get into the more elaborate endings. Let's start with the evil ending. This ending requires you to do a lot more stuff than the last two endings, but honestly, it's quite a good ending. It's quite fun. So, how to get it is throughout all the nights, there are going to be these secret animatronics that some of them are quite hard to get, while others are really easy. We'll start with the first salvage, which is Springtrap. How to get Springtrap is not that difficult. You just go into the room where you get Endo, and next to Endo is a hatchet. You just gotta crouch underneath like the board and grab the hatchet, and then you go to the room next to the bathrooms where you will find a boarded up place. All you need to do is break it with the hatchet, and you can get Springtrap. Springtrap, probably one of the most difficult characters in the game. Is these characters are probably the hardest part about this ending. It's really bad. Springtrap is going to go in really bad because what he does is he starts in the parts and services room behind the stage and he makes his way to your office through the cameras. You have to find where he is and then flash him all the way back. And if he gets really close to your office, you have to like go through each stage all the way back to the parts and service room. So it's pretty bad and it takes a lot of your attention. So that's why I'm putting him in really bad. Alright, and the next salvage, to get the animatronic, which is Lefty, what you have to do is go to the door that's locked, and then you have to walk all the way to Balloon Boy. Balloon Boy will make you answer his 3 questions to get the key to open the door. The questions range from extremely stupid to like really easy. I recommend just looking all of them up because some of them you wouldn't like know beforehand. So yeah, I just recommend looking it up. And once you get the key, you have to go to the room that you just looked at earlier that's locked and then unlock it. And yeah, you get the character, which is Lefty. Lefty, one of the harder characters in the game. Not as bad as Springtrap in my opinion, but it's still definitely a very difficult character to deal with. What he does is he's another vent character, which you would think would be easy, but he's like kind of reverse vent character to where he doesn't respond to the sound indicator, and in fact he tries to go away from it. And when he reaches your office, you can't just put on the mask, scare him away. He just sits in your office and then kills you anyways. So you have to actively use the audio lure to keep him away from your office, which you could probably guess is also just a lot of effort to like micromanage him an event camera, which you almost never look at, so it's pretty difficult. I would put him in really hard, but he has this really bad weakness to where if you put audio lure right next to him in the corner, he just gets stuck and he can't move. So yeah, he's only a problem at the start of the game, and I am still gonna put him in awful because even at the start of the game, he can be so hard to deal with that he just keeps on killing me. The next is Salvage 3, which is probably the easiest character and also the easiest one to deal with. What all you gotta do is just go to the secret code that's in the office. It's in the same place as you typed in FNAF 3 for that secret ending, but just like it's a little bit more obvious since it's prompted, you can just click on it. And all you need to do is type 395248 and the door will open and you'll get Scrap Baby. Really not that bad. Also, Scrap Baby is probably one of the easier characters in this ending. Actually, probably the easiest character in this ending. I'm putting him in annoying but not hard because all they do is just they appear in the parts and service room and all you gotta do is zap them before they turn off the lights. Really easy. The only other thing that they do is once the power runs out, they'll just kill you instantly, unlike if you don't have them where you'll just wait until somebody else kills you. Which could ruin like the whole 6 a.m. win while being jump scared thing, but it's whatever. And for the final character in Salvage 4, what you gotta do is just go into the upstairs and find the room that contains the box, and then type Spring Bonnie in it. And then Molten Freddy will appear, and yeah, that's all you need to do. It's really easy. I wish I could say the same thing about the next character. Molten Freddy is so fucking difficult, dude. I feel like it's probably the hardest ones out of all these, which is probably controversial, but like generally, okay, what he does is randomly throughout the night, you'll hear this rustling noise coming to each side of your door, and you just have to close that door, which sounds pretty easy. It's kind of the same thing as Bonnie and Chica, but you can't hear the stepping noise, they just appear. Molten Freddy, the noise that indicates when he's coming to your door is so hard to hear sometimes. I genuinely struggle so much with hearing this noise, especially in like nights where there's a lot of people attacking you. All I hear is like a and then I'm dead. It's really difficult. Sometimes I just like anytime I hear like any type of noise, I just close both of my doors instantly. It's just such a waste of power, and I struggle to deal with them so much. But that's about it with collecting all the characters for the evil ending. So far, the hardest part about the evil ending is dealing with Night 5, which it's a whole thing on its own. Night 5 is very difficult with all these animatronics, and especially on Lunatic mode. And then after Night 5, you talk to Vanny. She asks you to meet her at Freddy's the next day so she can give you a present, which I guess, bro. And when you do, you see her in you go in the office, you see her, she does her whole thing, and then she gets killed by Salvage, which is the supposed present she gives you. And Salvage is like one of the first boss fights of the game, and it's honestly pretty cool. Salvage, he has 5 phases, and each phase he introduces a new mechanic. Let's start with the first mechanic. The first mechanic, all you need to do is just, when he goes to one of your doors, you have to hit him 3 times with the door. It's kind of funny just smacking him in the head, but it wouldn't take long to get to the next phase, which is just, in the next phase, he goes into one of your cameras, and then you have to control shock him. If you don't, he would remove all the power to your office. The mechanic is similar to Scrap Babies, but instead it's just like a bunch of different cameras and not just the parts and service room. And then the phase after that, he just goes into your vents. What you have to do is just look at the vent camera and click on the eyeball that's in there. It's not too difficult, but he does attack the vents a lot while doing his other things, so it can get pretty overstimulating. And I forgot to mention, as each stage goes on, he introduces more of the animatronics that you picked. So for like the first phase, it'll only be like the main animatronics that you get on the first night. And then the next phase, he introduces the animatronics you picked on the second night. So it goes in that order. Anyways, on the fourth phase, he starts shooting these eyeballs into your office. All you have to do is just grab them and fling them out. It's pretty easy to deal with, but it gets really troublesome having to like fling out all the eyeballs and then deal with the camera, and then also having to deal with Marionette and all these other animatronics. I really struggle with Marionette on this night for some reason. I don't know why. On the last phase, there isn't really any new mechanics introduced. He just becomes way faster, like to a ridiculous degree. He just moves extremely fast. It's overwhelming having to deal with Salvage while he's like constantly moving around your office and stuff. Once you beat the final phase, he just decides to break your window, which you could have started with. I don't know why he didn't start with that. But anyways, he breaks in your window, he catches you, he gives this whole monologue about how he was gonna kill everybody, take over the world and all that, whatever bullshit. And the place lights on fire and you see Michael laughing for the first time, which in my opinion has this really cool line of, well, you can hear it. But yeah, that's about it with the evil ending. The boss fight itself is pretty cool, and it's honestly pretty fun. It's definitely the easiest boss fight on in Frickbears, but it's honestly kind of my favorite. I'll put him in hard, but honestly, I feel like he's honestly like one of my favorite boss fights. Unfortunately, he also is very easily cheesable because all you need is 2 death coins and get to his third phase and play until you're right about to kill him, like one attack away, and then just use both death coins and kill him instantly. And you can just skip like 2 of the hardest phases and instantly, and it's really makes the fight really easy. Next is the good ending, which you are able to get after defeating the evil ending. And the boss fight, here, I'll talk about it once I get over there. So, to get the good ending, it's kind of the same as the evil ending, but you don't need to collect the animatronics. What you do is, on each salvage, you play the specific minigame and you beat the high score. Then you get a present. What you do is you go back to the office of the game and you give the present to the marionette that spawns. Once you do, it'll raise back up, it's in the ceiling, and it'll give you a mask. And you just have to collect all the masks. After you pick up the mask, the room will go dark and you just have to leave while escaping these new enemies that spawns. These endo guys, which, I mean, they're not difficult. And if you do manage to get caught by them, they just steal $5 from you and then they don't really do much. So I'll put them in annoying, not hard. It's really not that bad. I don't really need to go too in depth on the process on getting all the presents and the masks, but because, well, I mean, they're not really as difficult as figuring out how to get the animatronics and the evil ending. All you need to do is just play the mini games. It's really not that bad. Oh yeah, and Michael Afton will now greet you instead of Vanny, who he's pretty cool, I guess. I really like his voice acting. He's probably my favorite character in the game so far. Once you collect all of the masks, he will ask you to, similar to Vanny before the boss fight, he'll ask you to meet him back at the pizzeria the next night, and once you do, it'll initiate the boss fight. This one is very different from Salvage and different from every other thing we've done the whole game. It's like a complete shift from Office Defense to 2D platformer slash Office Defense. It's very different. A lot of people say that this one's easier than Salvage, but in my opinion, oh my god, this is probably the hardest ending in the entire game. I struggled with this fucking ending so much. It's like the characters that they introduced in this. Here, I'll go over it stage by stage, but like it's so difficult, especially the characters. On the first level, you start with just Nightmare, who kills you once the heat goes up too high. It's since the pizzeria doesn't have any power, unlike Vanny's ending, which doesn't really make any sense. Why did that Vanny ending have power? But this one doesn't. I don't really understand it. So you don't have any way of cooling down your office except for when you reach a checkpoint and then all of a sudden the heat resets. So you just have to beat the level before Nightmare kills you. Also, the checkpoints don't reset you to that specific checkpoint. You have to restart the entire level once you die to animatronic. You only go back to the checkpoint if you die in the little 2D platformer. On the next level, on the next level, on the second phase, you start with on the second phase, Nightmare Freddy gets introduced, and all he does is spawn in a bunch of little Fredlets in the office, and you just have to use your flashlight to scare him away. Probably the easiest character here. And once the Fredlets run out of time and they like jump scare you, they don't kill you instantly. 3 of them have to be on your face before Nightmare Freddy kills you. It's pretty easy. It's manageable. Next, on the next phase is Nightmare Bonnie, who one of the hardest parts about this night. He's not that bad now, but he's so unbelievably difficult. What he does is it's similar to Molten Freddy, where you hear like a slide noise in one of your doors, and you just have to flash the door that he's coming from. But combined with the really loud music and like all the sound effects you hear, it's really difficult to hear him coming. That's why like by the end of the night, he got me like turning off the music to the boss fight just so I can like slightly hear him, because all the other noises that are happening around me make it really difficult to hear the noise of him running up to your door. Next phase is Nightmare Chica, who she randomly throughout the level will walk from one side of your window to the other, and when she does, you just have to put on the mask so she doesn't see you. But it takes up so much time because she's so unbelievably slow, and combined with the 2 other animatronics, you just have so little time to work on the game with them constantly attacking you. It makes it so difficult, to the point where once Chica comes in, you just can't die like at all. If you die once, then you just kind of have to restart the level, because the heat will just Chica makes the heat go up so much, and you barely have any time to work on the level before you die to Nightmare from the heat being too much. And in the final level, Nightmare Foxy gets introduced, who is really not that bad. It's kind of like Candy, to where he has a timer displayed, and once the timer runs out, you just have to put on the mask. It's really not that bad, and most of the time it gets correlated with Chica, so a lot of the time they come at the same time. But yeah, it's mostly just Chica and Bonnie on the last phase that kill me the most. And when I die to Foxy, I'm just not paying attention. But oh my fucking god, this last phase where Foxy is, I died to so much. I think I have like an hour of footage just me dying over and over again to this final phase. It is so unbelievably difficult having to deal with all these other animatronics and trying to play this 2D game. I already said earlier, I'm terrible at 2D games. I need to make a video on like a platformer or something, because I'm so unbelievably bad at platformers. It's crazy. I actively stop playing a game as soon as they add like a platformer element into it. I don't know. I just have like a fear of platformer. It's kind of like a skill issue on my part or something because like I don't know. I need to do something to break this extreme hatred of platformers because like it got so bad that during Deltarune, yes, Deltarune of all things, once the platforming part happened, I just generally was like, man, I don't want to fucking do this shit anymore. And I love Deltarune. I still played it, but like, oh my fucking god, the platforming is just I don't know. It was even that hard. I just hate doing the platforming. Maybe I need to play like Celeste or something, and maybe I can finally get it. But I don't understand why people enjoy playing platforming games. Anyways, this is very off topic. I'm gonna rank the animatronics now. Actually, Bonnie, really bad. Chica, really bad. Foxy, awful. Freddy, hard. Nightmare, annoying. He doesn't really do much. Anyways, yeah. After you complete the last phase, you will, get the crying child, his whatever. I don't really care that much. Fuck that kid. Yeah. You set the souls free, blah blah blah, whatever. FNAF 3. That's about it. The good ending, I hate it. Yeah, I could not care at all about it. I genuinely hate it so much. I struggled so much on it. I like Bonnie, I have died to out of the most out of any other character. The second most is you could probably guess it's Anime Dude, and most of it comes from his fucking custom night, which I'll talk about later. Also, Anime Dude is just really hard to deal with because of the platforming. Anyways, so now that we've gone through most of the endings, we need to talk about the final ending, the ultimate ending. This ending, I'm just gonna say now, all you need to do to get it is just do the requirements for all the other endings combined. So just buy the Talbert's files, get all the evil animatronics, and also get all the masks, and it'll unlock the ultimate ending. And I would love to go over it, but I honestly want you to do that instead. I know you're probably here just to see me like rank everything and all that, but I highly recommend you just experience it yourself. I am gonna say that yes, it is like the best ending and it's really cool. It's honestly such a cool ending, and what happens in it is like mwah, chef's kiss. Like it's so good. I don't want to spoil it for anybody because I genuinely highly recommend you play the game. I really recommend you play it. Hell, I'm thinking of replaying it myself because of just how good like the game is. It's so much fun, dude. Also, this video is getting way too long, and like I don't know if you noticed, but I've only made like 2 other videos and both of those were made for school. This is like my first actual video and it has taken like a lot more effort and time than I was expecting. And I had a deadline for this, which is today. I'm currently recording this like right before my deadline is due. So yeah, and it's a self deadline. I decided that I want to make this video before the summer ends, which when I started this was like 2 weeks ago, which I mean, I don't know if you could tell, but it's really difficult to make a video in this length in 2 weeks. So, sorry to cut it off so short, but also I just recommend playing it yourself. Even though I already did spoil the other endings, I recommend just playing it just for this ending. And I'm sorry because yes, it is a cop out, but this video, first of all, is just getting way too long, and I haven't really done something like this before, and I just wasn't expecting it to be this draining. And it also doesn't help that I made a really stupid decision and decided to make this entire video 2 weeks before summer ends. Alright, now that we made it to the end of the video, on kind of a bad note, I just want to talk about how, yes, I did kind of cop out at the end of the video, but I honestly enjoyed the process a lot, and I really want to make this a career, or even just have this as like a side job or something, because this was really fun, and I enjoyed playing this game and just making this stuff. I really want to continue this, and I highly recommend if you really want to just like liking, subscribing, and like commenting what other games you want me to play. I currently have an idea of making a video about Pop Goes Next, like I said earlier, but if you guys really want me to play something else, I'm really willing to do it. This is the first like actual video since my last 2 edited videos were for school. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed the process. This is my last day I need to record before summer break is over, and I will try to make up for this. I will definitely continue doing this and try harder. So yeah, thank you for watching, and please comment if you want me to play anything else, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this far. It really means a lot to me. Bye.